Previously
Here we are
on
in the
Third
bedroom. We are
Coast
not in the reptile
Reptile.
room. The wall behind me here is where we're going to go ahead and build our lizard enclosures. We're going to go ahead and start with a rack system, and then we'll start moving in our electrical, and then get our lizards in here at the very end. Let's get started. Okay, final product here. We have everybody in place. Ross is like, are you giving me food? Because he's hungry. He needs to eat. So we'll get Ross some food here in a little bit. And I think that'll do it for this video. Next time here on the Third Coast Reptile channel, we'll be working on the new space that we've created in the reptile room and start building that enclosure on the floor. Well, here we are at this phase. We have the enclosure that was on the ground. This was Gru's old enclosure, if we don't remember from the previous video. In here I have 3 bags of all-purpose topsoil. Now this doesn't have that sort of styrofoam and stuff for like Miracle Grow and such. This is just plain Jane topsoil that we're going to use as the base. And then we're going to add some enrichment and hinds in here. Again, this is just for the small guys. This is just to kind of give them a smaller space, allow the bigger guys to have some room to stretch their legs, give Hank back his enclosure. And this will sort of allow these guys to hang out here in peace on their own. They have a rather large enclosure over there that they really don't need. It's ideal because, you know, bigger is always better, but we want to give the bigger guys a chance to hang out and do their thing, and then when these guys get big enough, they can hang out in that population as well, and then eventually it can all be just one big giant enclosure because I only have redfoots and cherryheads in there as we speak in those areas. The Egyptian and the Burmese star can live in their own areas themselves. Long-term plan, that's kind of how I'm going to have this place set up. So I'm going to have the redfoots kind of owning the floor, if you will, and then the Burmese star and the Egyptian tortoise, excuse me, will be elevated in their own little areas. So this is plenty of space for them. This room set up how I have it set up, especially for long term. So I'm really happy with the way things are turning out. So let's get started and get these bags open, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pierce the bags with this this nice little garden rake thing that I have. And just kind of make a perforated line here, like so. Remember, when you're building these enclosures, that there is a lot of weight in them. So especially if you're going to elevate it like this one, to keep that in mind. For instance, each of these bags are 40 pounds apiece. So right here, we have 120 pounds. I'm going to rip this open. Oh yeah, we're going to get dirty today. this thing open like so, and then flip it over. Dump it out. This. Nice shot of my elbow. As much as we can. That side. And this side. Oh, it fell into the. Okay. We'll speed this up for you. I'll let you know when it's done. Alright, so I think I have everything pretty well laid out here. It's got a nice even coat across the whole enclosure here. There is something else that we do have to discuss. Now that I have all the dirt in here, there is a problem that I've discovered and I've kind of overlooked, but there's a remedy to it. So as you can see, there is a lot of dirt in this. This is actually a window turned on its side. That's my sliding front door here access, and the dirt is getting into these channels that would prevent the window from shutting, or the door rather from shutting. But I have a solution for that, and I'll be right back with it. Alright, so now here is my solution. I simply have a piece of 2x6 treated wood here, and what we're going to do is secure it so it can't move, and this is going to act as a threshold or a barrier that keeps the dirt inside and not in this channel, preventing the window from opening and closing. It's going to sit on this seam in here so the glass won't be restricted as you're moving it open and close. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and get started on the water dish, food dish, kind of the aesthetics, and put some places for it to hide and get the lighting on so it actually heat up the substrate. Remember, this substrate was sitting outside, so it is a little chilly here in early November, so the temperature of the substrate will be rather cool, and we do not want to shock our reptiles, so we're going to give this some time to heat up as well. So let's get this, you know what, thinking on the fly here. We're going to go ahead and turn the lights on now while I'm installing the board and getting the rest of the enrichment stuff. So by the time everything's ready to go, the substrate should be relatively warm and they'll be happy. Let's get going. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put all the goodies inside here. I broke up some tile and we're going to use this as like a feeding surface. And what this will do is it'll create a place for them to kind of scrape their nails when they're feeding, as well as their beaks as well. Kind of trim down the beaks along with the nails because of this kind of a porous tile surface, and it keeps them nice and clean off of the dirty floor here, so they don't get impacted with the substrate. And you know, it's kind of a cheap way to go. You can get some fancier setups, but this is kind of one of my on the cheap sort of builds because this is a hatchling enclosure, not a permanent enclosure. And I'll do a video on that down the road sometime where I'll talk about the differences between, you know, a permanent enclosure and kind of like how I treat those environments. So something like this, yes, it's nice to give them a little bit of enrichment, but this is kind of a temporary deal, so I don't want to go too overboard with it. I just want to make sure they have everything they need. So let's go ahead and place this somewhere close to the door So I'm going to kind of create a spot here for feeding like that. And then we're going to put another one kind of like that. We'll make it nice and level for them. Clean them off so they're nice and clean. That'll be good. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to get their water dish. And the rule of thumb for me with water dishes, I want to keep them away from the basking spot as far as possible. Otherwise you're going to change water probably every 15 minutes because it'll evaporate pretty quickly. So what we're going to do, and that's an exaggeration, it probably would be like a couple days, but you'll definitely see the rate in which the water evaporates being here versus over here a lot faster. So we're going to put the water dish kind of down over here, and we got to make sure that this also is, oh, I can barely reach it, nice and level. That looks pretty good. You can kind of see that right there. So you have your food area, your water dish is kind of like the mechanics side of everything. And then, get you guys back up this way. In the back corner over here by the basking area, we're going to go ahead and put their hide. I like to keep their hide on the warm side, so in the mornings they know that the basking light turns on, it's time they can come out and start their day. So it's kind of like their coffee, if you will. I'm going to put that right here at an angle. And the other thing I like to do with the the hiding spots, their hides, is I like to dig. Put this to the side here. So what I did is I kind of made an outline of the enclosure here, and then what I'm going to do is take my handy dandy. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. My handy dandy rake here. And so we're just going to dig out the center a little bit. That helps increase the ceiling height inside here. Like so. Obviously you don't want to go all the way down to the wood, but put a nice little dip in there for them like that. And there you go. That's where the hide's going to be. So that's the basic boring setup, right? This is exactly like the bare minimum results of an enclosure, what you have to have. You got a basking light, you have a UVB bulb, you got your water, food areas, and then your hide. The other thing I'd like to do is create some sort of visual barriers for them. And this creates kind of like an enrichment element for them, kind of give them that exploration. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to implement this huge stick that I have, and this has been cleaned already and taken care of for bugs, and that's kind of going to be a divider like so, and we'll put that in like that. So what this will do is this creates an obstacle for them to get from A to B. They might have to go around, they can go underneath if they have to and kind of burrow through. And it's kind of a challenge for them. It's a sight barrier, so they can't just see across the whole enclosure. It gives them a chance to look for a little bit of enrichment. It's a little bit of an aesthetic feature too. It looks kind of a little bit better in the enclosure. And then also we're going to, I'm going to take this old, this is like a leopard gecko hide, and I'm going to put it on its side right here in the back like that. And then I'm going to fill in some of the sides a little bit like that. There we go. Just a little something in there. Again, this is a temporary enclosure for them until they get older. I'll give them a little bit more of some coverage in here as time goes on. But this is kind of the basic nursery environment for the tortoises. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and kind of do the tortoise shuffle here and move the guys around. Alright, so I'm going to grab the redfoots out of this enclosure and they're going to go in the nursery. That's step one. So I'm going to find, oh, here's one. Hey little guy, how are you doing? And, oh, here's the other one. Benny and Scylla are going to attack my shoelaces here. That's not good. Alright. So this guy and that guy there, we're going to put in the enclosure. Alright, so here they are in their enclosure. They're going to explore and look around for a little bit. The one thing I am concerned with right away is the height of this 2x6. They can climb up on here and possibly climb out, so I am going to have this this door shut, which, you know, was kind of the original intention anyway. I just have this here to keep the dirt out of that windowsill like we talked earlier. But you can see they're going to be climbing over stuff and checking things out. I'm going to get their water dish filled here and give them a little bit to eat. We're going to get some romaine lettuce and toss that in there as well. So hang tight. Get the water. Fresh water in there. Perfect. Looks good. They're going to attack that. Alright, I'm going to go get that romaine lettuce. Looks like they were thirsty. They're over here out of your sight. That kind of stinks. Here, get you in view. Then they're having a drink. I'm going to break off some big leaves here, some romaine lettuce. And we're going to put it on their food area. Oh, not good. Let's put it like this. Here we go. And we'll put a couple in there. Trying to give them a little bit extra to eat. They look a lot bigger in this enclosure, let me tell you. Alright, he's like, look at that. He's like, it's food time. I'm going to put a little bit more in there. Alright, that'll be good. I'm going to dust them with calcium probably the next time around here, which will be tomorrow morning. This is just kind of get them acclimated as a treat to having to give up their bigger enclosure. But this will suffice for them for a little while, and then we're gonna have some new plans going on here later on where they're gonna go back into a bigger enclosure. But for now, they're gonna be hanging out here, and I think they're pretty snug and comfortable. What do you guys think? Alright, well, next we're going to be moving the other redfoot tortoises and then helping Hank get his bachelor pad back. Okay, here is Hank's bachelor pad back intact. He's happy, he's doing laps in there. The new enclosure for the cherry heads, they're exploring, they're doing fine in here. And you can see that wall height is plenty for them. They're not going to be able to escape and drop down into here, which we don't want happening. And then over here, the cherry head is getting a drink. Oh, there he is. The Burmese star is cruising around in his new enclosure. And they're hanging out in there. This is plenty big for them. This, for reference, is about 2 foot by 8 foot long. They look really good and happy in here. And, of course, let me get you over here and check out these guys. And we'll open up the sliding door. Take a look at them. Everybody's happy. Well, I think this is a success. I think everything turned out pretty well. Hanging out here in the reptile room, everything's changing always here. This is more of my tortoise enclosure room / turtle, because I do have a couple of turtles in here. But anyway, that's it for this video. It was part of like a trilogy, kind of like a Back to the Future thing. So this is the last leg of that. We have an interview coming up with my nephew. Stay tuned for that episode. That's going to be pretty cool. And I got some other really cool stuff coming down the pipe. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you next time.